The stars were quiet that night. They were always quiet, of course. Space had no sound. But on this particular night, the silence felt heavier than usual. It pressed against the hull of every ship that floated near the station, a massive fortress that hung in the darkness like a metal spider waiting for its prey. Inside the station, 43 people sat in a cold room with their hands tied. Some of them were crying, some of them were praying, and some of them simply stared at the floor, too scared to do anything else. The diplomatic vessel Starlight Dawn had been on a peaceful mission. It carried ambassadors, scientists, and their families. They were traveling to a peace conference on the distant world of Cora Prime. They never made it. The Pirate King had been waiting for them. His ships had appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Starlight Dawn like wolves around a wounded deer. The captain of the vessel had tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. His fleet was too fast, too well armed, and too ruthless. Now, the passengers sat in chains while counted his fortune. Was not like other pirates. He was smart, he was patient, and he was very, very dangerous. He had started his career 20 years ago as a simple thief on a mining colony. Now, he controlled an empire of stolen ships, illegal weapons, and terrified merchants who paid him money just to stay alive. He sat in his command chair, a tall seat made of black metal and red leather. His eyes were dark and cold, like two pieces of frozen coal. His hair was long and tied back, and a scar ran down the left side of his face from a fight he had won many years ago. "How many ships are out there now?" he asked his second in command, a woman named. Checked her screen. 17 warships, sir, 3 from the Galactic Union, 5 from the Quran Empire, 4 from the Free Worlds Alliance, and 5 human vessels. Smiled. It was not a nice smile. They came fast. "The hostages are valuable," said. "Ambassador is among them. His father is a senator." "I know who he is," said. "That is why I took this ship." Outside the station, the warships floated in formation. They were close enough to see station with their own eyes, but not close enough to attack. Every captain knew the rules. If anyone fired a single shot, would kill the hostages. All of them. On the bridge of the human vessel Earth's Pride, Admiral Park stared at the station through the main window. His hands were behind his back, and his face was tight with anger. "We cannot just sit here," said Captain, who stood beside him. "Those people are dying of fear in there." "I know," Admiral Park said quietly, "but if we move, they will die for real." "Then what do we do?" Admiral Park did not answer. He had no answer to give. In the holding room on station, the hostages tried to stay calm. It was not easy. The room was cold and dark. There were no windows. The only light came from a few weak bulbs on the ceiling that flickered every few minutes. Ambassador sat in the corner with his wife, Sora. She was shaking, and he held her hand tightly. "It will be okay," he whispered. "Someone will come for us." "How do you know?" she asked. He did not know, but he had to say something. He had to give her hope, even if he had none himself. Across the room, a young scientist named sat alone. She was only 25 years old, and this was supposed to be her first big mission. She had spent 3 years studying alien plants on a small research station. When she received the invitation to join the peace conference, she thought her luck had finally changed. Now she wondered if she would ever see her family again. The door opened, and 2 pirates walked in. They were big men with ugly faces and bigger guns. They looked at the hostages like they were looking at animals in a cage. "The boss wants to talk to one of you," the first pirate said. "Who is Ambassador?" Felt his heart stop. He slowly raised his hand. "Come with us." Sora grabbed his arm. "No, please do not take him." The second pirate pointed his gun at her. "Let go, or I will shoot you both." Gently removed her hands. "It is okay," he said, even though it was not okay at all. "I will be back soon." They led him through dark hallways filled with stolen goods and sleeping pirates. The station was a maze of metal and shadows. Finally, they reached a large door that opened into his command room. Was waiting for him. Ambassador said with a smile, "Please sit down." There was only one chair in front of his throne, a small wooden seat that looked very uncomfortable. Sat down anyway. "What do you want?" asked. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "I want many things," said. "Money, power, freedom, but right now I want you to send a message to your father." "What message?" Leaned forward. "Tell him that if the Galactic Union does not pay me 50 billion credits within 3 days, I will start killing hostages, one every hour, starting with your wife." Felt the blood drain from his face. "You are a monster." "No," said calmly. "I am a businessman, and right now you are my product." Back on Earth's Pride, Admiral Park received the message. He read it 3 times, hoping he had made a mistake. He had not. 50 billion credits, Captain said. "That is impossible. The Union will never pay that much." "I know," Admiral Park said. "Then what happens in 3 days?" Admiral Park closed his eyes. He thought about the 43 people on that station. He thought about their families waiting at home. He thought about Ambassador and his young wife. "I do not know," he admitted, "but we have 3 days to figure something out." Somewhere in the fleet, on a small ship that no one was paying attention to, Commander was already making her own plans. She had heard the message too. She had seen the fear in everyone's eyes. But was not afraid. She was angry. And when humans got angry, they did very dangerous things. Commander sat alone in her small room on the ship Iron Wolf. It was a tiny vessel compared to the warships around it, just a fast scout ship with a crew of 12, but liked it that way. She did not need a big ship. She needed a smart one. She was reading the message from again. 50 billion credits. One hostage every hour if they did not pay. It was madness. The Galactic Union would argue for weeks before they agreed to anything. By then, everyone on that station would be dead. Put down her tablet and looked at the small picture on her desk. It showed a young boy with a bright smile, standing next to a woman with kind eyes, her brother and mother. They had died 15 years ago when pirates attacked their colony ship. Was the only survivor. She was 16 years old when she watched her family die. She promised herself that day that she would spend her life fighting people like those pirates, people who hurt the weak, people who thought they could take whatever they wanted without paying the price. Now she was 31. She had spent 15 years in the Earth Frontier Corps, fighting in wars that most people never heard about. She had been shot 4 times. She had killed more enemies than she could count, and she had never, not once, broken a promise. She was not going to start now. Stood up and walked to the bridge of her ship. Her second-in-command, lieutenant, was checking the sensors. "Any change?" she asked. "No, Commander," said. "The fleet is still holding position. No one wants to make the first move." "Of course not," said. "They are all afraid." Looked at her carefully. He had served with for 3 years. He knew that look in her eyes. It was the look she got before she did something crazy. "Commander," he said slowly, "what are you thinking?" Did not answer right away. She walked to the main window and stared at station in the distance. It was huge and ugly, a mountain of stolen metal floating in space. Somewhere inside that mountain, 43 innocent people were waiting to die. "I am thinking," said quietly, "that someone needs to do something." "The admirals are working on a plan," said. "The admirals are sitting in their chairs arguing about politics," replied. "They will still be arguing when starts killing people." "Then what do you suggest?" Turned to face him. "I am going to go in there." Stared at her. For a moment he thought she was joking. Then he saw her face and he knew she was completely serious. "That is suicide," he said. "Maybe," agreed, "but it is the only way. You cannot fight 100 pirates by yourself." "I am not going to fight them," said. "I am going to talk to them." Shook his head. Does not want to talk, he wants money. Everyone wants something, said. I just need to find out what wants more than money. She walked to the communication station and opened a channel to Earth's pride. Admiral Park's face appeared on the screen. Commander, the Admiral said, this is unexpected. What do you want? Permission to attempt a solo rescue mission, sir. The Admiral's eyebrows went up. Excuse me. I want to dock at station alone, explained. No weapons, no backup, just me. Admiral Park was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Commander, I appreciate your courage, but that is the worst plan I have ever heard. We'll kill you the moment you step off your ship. Maybe, said, but if I do nothing, those hostages will definitely die. At least this way there is a chance. A chance of what? Getting yourself killed. A chance of saving them, said. Her voice was calm and steady. Sir, I have studied for years. I know how he thinks. He is not a madman. He is a businessman, like he said. Businessmen can be negotiated with. Admiral Park rubbed his forehead. Even if that is true, what could you possibly offer him? Smiled. It was a cold smile, the kind that made people uncomfortable. Myself, she said. The Admiral stared at her. I do not understand. Knows that if he kills those hostages, every fleet in the galaxy will hunt him down. He is not stupid. He does not actually want to kill them. He wants to get paid and escape. But the Union will never pay 50 billion credits, so we are stuck. Go on, the Admiral said slowly. What if I offer him something else, something he cannot refuse? Such as? Leaned closer to the screen. Information. I know things about Earth's defense systems that no pirate has ever learned. I know patrol routes, weapon codes, secret bases. If I offer to trade that information for the hostages, might take the deal. Admiral Park's face went pale. You would betray your own people. No, said. I would lie to him, but he does not know that. All he knows is that a high-ranking Earth officer is offering him secrets worth more than money. That is something he cannot buy with credits. The Admiral was quiet for a very long time. He looked at its face, trying to understand her. Was she brave or crazy? Was she a hero or a fool? Finally, he spoke. Commander, if you go in there, you might not come back. I know. You might be tortured for information you do not actually plan to give. I know that too. And if you die, I cannot send anyone to save you. The moment we attack, the hostages die. Nodded. I understand, sir. That is why I am going alone. Admiral Park looked at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Permission granted, he said quietly. May God help you, Commander. God helps those who help themselves, replied. I intend to help myself quite a lot. She ended the transmission and turned to. He was looking at her with a mixture of fear and respect. You are really going to do this, he said. Yes. What should we do while you are gone? Walk toward the door. Wait for my signal, and if I do not come back in 6 hours, tell my story. Make sure people remember what happened here. What story should I tell? Stopped at the door and looked back at him. Her eyes were hard and bright, like diamonds. Tell them that when the galaxy was afraid, a human walked into the darkness alone. Tell them that we do not abandon our people, no matter the cost. And tell them that pirates should never, ever make a human angry. She walked out the door without looking back. 30 minutes later, her small shuttle detached from the Iron Wolf and flew slowly toward station. Every ship in the fleet watched it go. No one tried to stop her. No one could stop her. On the bridge of his station, watched the shuttle approach. His eyes narrowed. What is this? He asked. A single human shuttle, replied. Unarmed, 1 passenger. She is requesting permission to dock. Leaned back in his chair and smiled. How interesting, he said. Let her in. I want to meet this brave little human. He had no idea what was coming. The shuttle touched down in station's main hangar with a soft thump, sat still for a moment, listening to the sounds outside. She could hear boots on metal, voices shouting orders, and the hum of machines. This was enemy territory now. Every step she took could be her last. She looked at herself in the small mirror near the controls. Her face was calm. Her uniform was clean and pressed. Her black hair was tied back in a tight bun. She looked like an officer going to a formal meeting, not a woman walking into a den of killers. Good, that was exactly what she wanted. She opened the shuttle door and stepped out. The hangar was huge and dirty. Old ships sat in rows, some of them missing parts, some of them covered in rust. The floor was stained with oil and other things did not want to think about. The air smelled like metal and sweat and fear. A group of pirates stood waiting for her. There were 6 of them, all big men with faces and heavy weapons. They looked at her the way a cat looks at a mouse. "So you are the brave human," the leader said. He was a tall man with a shaved head and a tattoo of a skull on his neck. "You do not look like much." Did not respond. She simply started walking toward the door at the other end of the hangar. "Hey," the pirate shouted, "I did not say you could move." Stopped and turned to look at him. Her eyes were cold and empty, like 2 pieces of frozen glass. "Your boss invited me," she said. Her voice was soft but clear. "I suggest you take me to him before he gets angry." The pirate blinked. He was not used to people talking to him like that, especially not small human women with no weapons. For a moment, he thought about hitting her. Then he thought about what would do if he damaged the guest before she could be questioned. "Follow me," he growled. They walked through the station, counted her steps, memorized every turn, and noted every door they passed. Her mind was like a camera recording everything. 15 meters to the first junction. Turn left. 20 meters to the stairs. Go up 2 levels. Turn right. Pass 3 doors, then another left. The pirates walked behind her, their boots heavy on the metal floor. Some of them laughed and made jokes about what would happen to her. Ignored them. She had heard worse things from better people. The hallways were dark and crowded. Stolen goods were piled everywhere, boxes and crates filled with things taken from 100 ships. Saw food supplies, medical equipment, weapons, and luxury items. Had been busy. Other pirates watched her pass. Some of them looked confused, some looked amused, and some looked at her with a hunger that made her skin crawl. She kept walking. She did not show fear. Fear was a weapon, and she would not give it to her enemies. They passed a large window that looked out into space. Could see the fleet in the distance, all those mighty warships floating helplessly. They were so close, but they might as well have been 1,000,000 miles away. No one could save her now. She had to save herself. "In here," the lead pirate said. He stopped at a large metal door with 2 guards standing in front of it. "The boss is waiting." The guards opened the door and walked through. His command room was surprisingly clean. The floor was polished. The lights were bright. There was even artwork on the walls, paintings stolen from museums across the galaxy. In the center of the room sat himself, lounging in his throne like a king. He was not what expected. She had seen pictures of him, of course, but pictures did not capture the way he moved, the way he watched everything with those dark, clever eyes. He was like a snake wearing human skin. "Commander," said, his voice was smooth and deep, "welcome to my home." "It is not much of a home," replied, "more like a garbage dump." The pirates behind her tensed. No one talked to like that, but just smiled. "You have courage," he said. "I like that. Please sit down." He gestured to a chair in front of him. It was the same uncomfortable wooden chair that Ambassador had sat in earlier, sat down without hesitation. "So," said, leaning forward, "why are you here? Did the Union send you to beg for the hostages?" "No one sent me," said. "I came because I wanted to." "Interesting, and what do you want?" "I want to make a deal." Raised an eyebrow. "A deal? The Union already refused my demands." I am not here to pay your ransom, said. I am here to offer you something better. Better than 50 billion credits, laughed. What could possibly be better than that? Leaned back in her chair. She crossed her legs and folded her hands on her knee. She looked completely relaxed, as if she was having tea with a friend instead of negotiating with a killer. Information, she said. Smile faded slightly. He was listening now. What kind of information? Earth's defense grid, patrol schedules, hidden military bases, weapon codes, everything you would need to raid human space without getting caught. The room went very quiet. Even the pirates behind stopped moving. Everyone was staring at her. You would betray your own people? Asked. She sounded shocked. I would trade them for 43 innocent lives, said calmly. That seems fair to me. Studied her face for a long moment. He was looking for lies, for tricks, for anything that might tell him what she was really thinking. But's face was like a mask. She gave nothing away. Why should I believe you? Asked. Because you are smart, said. You know that 50 billion credits is a fantasy. The Union will never pay. They will argue and delay until you start killing hostages, and then they will send in the warships. You might kill some of the prisoners, but in the end, you will die too. His eyes narrowed. You think they can destroy my station? I know they can, but that is not the point. The point is that we both want something. You want to escape rich. I want those hostages alive. We can help each other. Stood up from his throne and walked slowly toward her. His boots clicked on the polished floor. He stopped right in front of her chair and looked down at her face. You are either very brave or very stupid, he said. Looked up at him. She did not blink. I am human, she said. We do not know the difference. For a long moment stared at her. Then slowly a smile spread across his face. I think I like you, Commander, he said. Let us talk about this deal. Smiled back. It was not a friendly smile. Yes, she said, let us talk. Outside, the fleet waited. Inside, a single human woman was about to change everything. Poured 2 glasses of dark red wine. He handed one to and kept the other for himself. She took the glass but did not drink. He noticed and smiled. You do not trust me, he said. I do not trust anyone, replied. Laughed and sat back down on his throne. That is wise. Trust is a weakness in this business. He took a long sip of his wine and set the glass down on the arm of his chair. His eyes never left his face. So, Commander, tell me more about this information you are offering. Set her untouched glass on the floor beside her chair. Earth has 47 secret military stations scattered across our territory. Most of them are hidden in asteroid fields or inside dead moons. I know the location of every single one. Impressive, said, but how do I know you are telling the truth? You do not. Not until you test the information. But think about it. If I give you real coordinates, you could raid those stations for years before anyone figured out how you found them. The equipment alone would be worth more than your ransom. Stroked his chin thoughtfully. And what do you want in return? All 43 hostages, unharmed, released to the fleet. All of them. Every single one. Shook his head slowly. That is too much. The hostages are my protection. If I release them, the fleet will attack. Not if you keep me instead. The room fell silent again. Stepped forward, her face confused. What are you saying? She asked. Stood up from her chair. She walked slowly toward the main window, looking out at the distant stars. I am offering myself as a guarantee, she said. Release the hostages, keep me. Once they are safe, I will give you the information. Then you can let me go or kill me or do whatever you want. But the hostages go free first. Watched her carefully. Why would you sacrifice yourself for strangers? Turned to face him. Her eyes were hard and bright. Because that is what humans do, she said. We protect each other. It is in our blood. Stood up and walked toward her. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that she could smell the wine on his breath. "Tell me something, Commander. Why do humans fight so hard? I have raided 100 ships from 100 species. Most of them surrender quickly. They beg for mercy. They offer everything they have just to stay alive. But humans always fight, even when they are losing, even when they are dying. Why?" Looked into his dark eyes. She saw curiosity there, real curiosity. This was not a test. He actually wanted to know. "Let me tell you about Earth," she said. Stepped back and gestured for her to continue. "Thousands of years ago, before we had spaceships, humans lived only on one small planet. We fought each other constantly, war after war after war. Millions died, cities burned, empires rose and fell. And through all of it, one thing remained true: we never gave up." She walked slowly around the room as she spoke, her voice calm and steady. "We fought against impossible enemies. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We faced natural disasters that destroyed everything we built. And every single time we came back, we rebuilt. We grew stronger, because giving up is not in our nature." Sat back down on his throne. "That is just history. Every species has wars." "Not like ours," said. She stopped in front of him and looked down at his face. "Other species fight to win. Humans fight because fighting is what we are. We do not know how to surrender. The concept does not exist in our hearts." Laughed nervously. "That is just talk. Everyone surrenders eventually." Turned to look at her. "Really? Then let me tell you about a place called Thermopylae. 300 human warriors faced an army of over 100,000. They knew they would die. They fought anyway. Every single one of them died, but they held their ground until the end." She turned back to, "That is who we are. We do not run, we do not beg, and we do not surrender. Even when death is certain, we face it standing up." Was quiet for a long moment. He was looking at her differently now, with something that might have been respect. "That is a nice story," he said finally, "but it does not change our situation. You are one woman, I have 100 armed pirates. What can you possibly do to me?" Smiled. It was a cold, dangerous smile. "I was wondering when you would ask that." She reached into her pocket. Every pirate in the room immediately raised their weapons, but just pulled out a small device, no bigger than her thumb. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. His eyes narrowed. "A communicator." "No, it is a dead man's switch." The room went very still. "My shuttle," continued, "is not a normal shuttle. It has been modified. Inside its cargo hold are 300 kilograms of antimatter contained in a magnetic field. If I release this switch, or if my heart stops beating, or if I am more than 100 meters away from the shuttle, the containment field fails." His face went pale. "That is enough antimatter to destroy." "This entire station," finished. "Yes, and every ship within 10,000 kilometers, including most of the fleet." Stared at her. For the first time since she arrived, he looked uncertain. "You are lying," he said. "Am I?" Held up the switch. Her thumb was pressed firmly on the button. "Want to find out?" Did not move. Neither did anyone else. "Let me explain your situation," said calmly. "You can kill me right now, but if you do, we all die. You can torture me, but my heart rate is being monitored. If it goes too high or too low, we all die. You can try to disarm the shuttle, but the moment my finger leaves this switch, we all die." She leaned closer to him, so close that they were almost touching. "The only way you survive this night," she whispered, "is if you give me what I want." His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the arms of his throne so hard his knuckles turned white. "You are insane," he said. "No," replied, "I am human. This is how we negotiate." For a long, terrible moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the station's engines. Then slowly began to laugh. It started as a small chuckle and grew into a full, loud laugh that echoed off the metal walls. "You walked into my station," he said between laughs. Alone and unarmed, carrying a bomb big enough to kill us all. And you call that negotiation? I call it leverage, said. Now do we have a deal? Stopped laughing. He looked at her face, at the cold determination in her eyes. He saw no fear there, no doubt, just pure, unbreakable will. Yes, he said quietly, we have a deal. The news spread through station like fire. The pirate king had made a deal with the human woman. The hostages were going free. In the holding room, the prisoners did not believe it at first. When the guards unlocked their chains, many of them thought it was a trick. Some thought they were being taken to their deaths. But then the guards stepped back, and a woman in a clean Earth uniform walked through the door. My name is Commander, she said. You are going home. Ambassador stood up slowly. His legs were weak from sitting in chains for so long. How is this possible? I made a deal, said simply. Now please follow me, we need to move quickly. The hostages followed her through the dark hallways of the station. They walked past pirates who watched them with angry eyes but did not dare to touch them. They walked past mountains of stolen goods and broken machines. They walked toward freedom. Sara held her husband's hand tightly. Who is she? She whispered. I do not know, replied, but I think she just saved our lives. The young scientist walked near the front of the group. She could not stop staring at its back. This woman had walked into a pirate fortress alone and walked out with 43 hostages. It seemed impossible. It seemed like a story from an old book. But it was real. It was happening right now. They reached the main hangar. 3 transport ships were waiting for them, their engines already running. Stood near the entrance, watching them with an unreadable expression on his face. Stopped in front of him. Thank you for keeping your word. I always keep my word, said. That is why people fear me. They fear you because you are dangerous, replied. Now they will fear humans too. Smiled, but there was no humor in it. Do not push your luck, Commander. You got what you wanted. Now leave before I change my mind. Nodded, she turned to the hostages and raised her voice. Everyone get on the ships, now. The hostages hurried toward the transports. Some of them were crying. Some of them were laughing. All of them were moving as fast as their tired legs could carry them. Ambassador stopped beside. What about you? Are you not coming? I will be on the last ship, said. Go, your wife needs you. Looked at her for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. Thank you, Commander, I will not forget this. He ran to catch up with his wife, and they climbed aboard one of the transports together. One by one, the ships filled with hostages, stood watching, counting every person who walked through the doors. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Everyone was on board. Turn back to, our business is concluded. Not quite, said. You promised me information. I did, reached into her pocket and pulled out a small data chip. She tossed it to him. Everything I promised is on there. Coordinates, patrol schedules, access codes, all of it. Caught the chip and looked at it suspiciously. How do I know this is real? You do not, but by the time you find out, I will be long gone. And even if it is fake, what are you going to do about it? Chase the entire human fleet. Laughed quietly. You really are something, Commander. I almost wish you had joined my crew. I already have a crew, said. They are better than yours. She walked toward her shuttle, which sat alone at the edge of the hangar. Her hand was still holding the dead man's switch. She climbed inside and sealed the door behind her. The 3 transport ships lifted off first. They flew out of the hangar and headed toward the waiting fleet. Watched them go, making sure they were safely away before she started her own engines. Said quietly, check that data chip. Plugged the chip into a nearby terminal. She scanned through the files, her eyes growing wider with each passing second. It is all here, she said. Coordinates, codes, everything. Frowned, it is real. It appears to be. Watched shuttle lift off and fly toward the fleet. He should have felt happy. He had just received information worth billions of credits, but something felt wrong. Why would she really betray her own people? He asked quietly. Shook her head. I do not know, sir. Out in space, Shuttle joined the transport ships. Together they flew toward the fleet, toward safety, toward home. On the bridge of Earth's Pride, Admiral Park watched them approach. His old face was filled with relief. She did it, Captain said. He sounded like he could not believe it. She actually did it. Get those transports into the hangar, Admiral Park ordered, and prepare a medical team. Those hostages are going to need attention. What about Commander? Admiral Park smiled slightly. Give her whatever she wants. She just did the impossible. The transports landed safely inside Earth's Pride. The hostages were helped out by medical crews and soldiers who treated them like heroes. Families would be, reports would be written. The entire galaxy would hear about what happened today. Shuttle landed last. She climbed out slowly, her body finally starting to feel the weight of what she had done. Her legs were shaking. Her hands were trembling, but she kept her face calm and walked toward Admiral Park, who was waiting for her. Commander reporting in, she said. Mission accomplished. Admiral Park saluted her. It was a gesture of deep respect. Commander, on behalf of the Galactic Union, the Earth government, and 43 grateful families, thank you. Return the salute. Just doing my job, sir. Your job does not normally include walking into pirate fortresses with antimatter bombs. It does today. Admiral Park shook his head, but he was smiling. The information you gave him, was it real? His eyes glinted with something dark. The coordinates are real, the patrol schedules are real, the access codes. She paused. The access codes will alert every military station in human space the moment tries to use them. He will have 5 minutes to enjoy his new information before every warship in the sector descends on his location. Admiral Park stared at her, then he started to laugh. You did not just rescue the hostages, he said. You set a trap. I told him I would trade information for lives, said. I did not say the information would help him. Across the galaxy, the story spread. The Pirate King had taken 43 hostages and demanded a fortune in ransom. Every great power had sent their mightiest ships, and none of them could do anything. Then a single human woman walked in alone and walked out with everyone. No weapons, no army, just courage and a willingness to die. The other species of the galaxy listened to the story with a mixture of awe and fear. They had always thought humans were strange. Now they understood something deeper. Humans did not negotiate with fear. They became it. And that was the day the galaxy learned to respect the small, fierce creatures from the little blue planet called Earth.